Ugh. Okay, imagine this. Just picture it.
Okay.
You were at a party. Maybe it's a work thing or, a friend's barbecue. You have a drink in your hand. You're feeling okay.
You're surviving.
You're surviving, exactly. You've managed to say hello. You've commented on the snacks. You're getting by.
The survival phase. We've all been there.
Right. But then the air changes. The person next to you turns. They lock eyes with you, and they ask the question.
Oh, no.
The one question that you know is coming, but you are never, ever ready for.
The universal icebreaker.
So, do you like sports?
And the universal nightmare for a language learner.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Because my brain it empties. It completely empties out.
Right.
It's not that I don't like sports. I actually love basketball. I watch it all the time. But in that moment,
it's all gone.
it's gone. I can't remember the word for chord. I can't remember if I play it or do it. I'm terrified I'm going to say something ridiculous. So you know what I do?
I can guess. You shut it down.
I panic. I just go, yes. And then I take a giant sip of my drink and look at the floor.
And just like that, the connection is severed. The conversation is over before it even began.
Dead. The conversation is dead.
Right.
And I walk away feeling like an idiot who has no personality.
You know, that specific feeling, that spike of cortisol, that blank mind, that is exactly what we need to dismantle today.
Please.
Because here is the truth, that silence isn't because you don't know the sport, it's because you don't have the social script.
A script is exactly what I need. I need lines. I need to know what to say so I don't look at the floor.
Well, you're in luck. Because today we are doing a deep dive into a really practical, hands-on session from Everyday English Tech.
Okay.
We're looking at hosts Emma and Jake, and they basically surgically remove this problem. They break down exactly how to handle the sports question without us needing to be an expert commentator.
That is the dream. Because, look, I'm never going to be the guy who knows the stats. I don't know who scored what in 1994.
Right.
I barely know the rules of offside in my own language, let alone English.
And that's the first big mindset shift we need to make right now. This isn't about sports English in the technical sense.
It's not.
No. If we were teaching technical English, we'd be talking about offside traps and quarterback ratings and the physics of a curveball.
Right. Stuff I have no idea about.
That is useless to you at a cocktail party unless you are talking to a coach.
Okay.
What we're doing today is social English.
Social English. I like that distinction. So this is more about the human connection than the game itself.
Precisely. It's about connecting with the person, not analyzing the sport. The source material makes this brilliant point right at the start.
What's that?
Sport is the ultimate small talk weapon.
A weapon. I like that.
It's a tool. It works with friends, it works with your boss, it works with a date. It cuts across age, gender, and culture.
Yeah.
If you can master this one topic, you have a safety net for almost any interaction.
It is the safety net. If you run out of things to say about the weather, you pivot to sports. It's the backup plan.
It's the backup plan. It's low stakes, it's emotional, and it's universal. So our mission today is to take the conversation between Emma and Jake, tear it apart, and extract a toolkit.
A toolkit. Good.
We're going to find the formulas, and I mean literal formulas you can memorize, the vocabulary and the grammar fixes to get you from that one word yes to an actual conversation.
I'm ready. I want to be the person who chats, not the person who stares at the floor. So let's start with the absolute basics. Section 1, the source calls this the golden formula.
The golden formula. It sounds grand, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds very important. But when I looked at it, I thought, really? Is it this simple?
It seems almost too simple.
Because Jake lays out this template for answering what's your favorite sport. And it's just, my favorite sport is insert sport because insert reason.
That's it. That's the formula.
It looks simple on paper, but let's play devil's advocate. Why do you think that specific structure is golden?
Okay, that's a fair question.
I mean, honestly. It feels a little bit like something I learned in 3rd grade. My favorite color is blue because it is pretty.
Yeah.
Is this really how adults talk?
That is such a valid fear. We worry that if we use a template, we'll sound robotic or childish.
Right. Like I'm reading from a textbook.
But think about the alternative, the one you described. If I ask you, what's your favorite sport? And you just say tennis, full stop.
Yeah.
What happens to the energy in the room?
It crashes. It's like hitting a wall. The conversation just dies.
Right. It forces me, the listener, to do all the work. Now I have to think of another question. I have to carry the weight. But the moment you add that magic word, because, you're opening a door.
You're giving me something to grab onto.
Exactly. Even if the reason is simple, If you say, my favorite sport is tennis because it's intense, suddenly we aren't talking about tennis rules. We're talking about intensity. We're talking about adrenaline. The because invites me in.
So the because is the hook. It turns a fact into a conversation.
It transforms an interrogation into a chat. And that's what social English is. It's about keeping the ball in the air, to use a sports metaphor.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about sounding like a genius. It's about being easy to talk to.
That's the entire goal. Be easy to talk to.
Speaking of balls and the sports names, we have to address the elephant in the room immediately. The source material brings this up right away, and I know it confuses so many people.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
The football versus soccer war.
The eternal struggle.
It drives learners crazy. I had a friend who was terrified to say soccer in London because he thought he'd get beaten up.
A legitimate fear.
But then if you say football in New York, people think you mean the NFL with the helmets.
It is a minefield, and it creates so much unnecessary stress.
Emma and Jake in the source try to clear this up. Basically, British English equals football. American English equals soccer. But here's my question. Why? Why do Americans have to be different? Did they just change the name to be difficult?
Actually, and this is a fascinating little detour into history that isn't explicitly in the source but explains the why. The word soccer is actually British.
Wait, what? No way.
It is. It comes from Oxford University in the 19th century. The official name of the sport is association football.
Okay.
The students at Oxford like to shorten words and add to the end. It was a kind of slang. So rugby football became rugger.
Right, rugger. I've heard that.
And association football.
A sock.
Soccer, exactly. A soccer became soccer. So the British invented the word, the Americans adopted it to distinguish it from their own gridiron football, and then the British stopped using it about 40 years ago because it sounded too American.
That is wild. So when a British person makes fun of an American for saying soccer, they're making fun of their own word.
Essentially, yes. It's a bit ironic.
My mind is blown. But okay, back to the practical advice. What do learners actually do?
The practical takeaway from the source is this. Don't stress about the history. Both are correct. It is purely geography.
So adaptability is the key here. Read the room.
Yes. If you are in London, read the room, say football. If you are in Texas, say soccer. But, and this is crucial, if you use the wrong one, people will still understand you.
They aren't going to kick you out of the party.
No. If you say, I love football in America, they might ask which one, but the conversation continues.
Ah, so it actually becomes a new conversation topic.
It can, yeah. The formula, my favorite sport is X because Y is stronger than the vocabulary choice. It holds the sentence together regardless of which word you use.
Okay, that makes me feel better. The structure is the safety net, but let's go back to that because, the reason.
Right. Section 2, adding depth, because this is where the personality comes in.
Because, like I said earlier, saying because it is good is, it's vanilla. It's boring.
It's a conversation killer. It's almost as bad as just saying the name of the sport.
So in the source, Jake and Emma list out some valid, high-frequency reasons. And I want to run through these because I think learners get stuck trying to be too poetic.
Yes, that's a huge trap.
You don't need to be Shakespeare. You just need a valid reason.
Right. Let's look at the excitement angle first.
Okay, so you can just say, it's exciting, or it's fast.
Simple adjectives. High energy. They work for basketball, for hockey, for racing. Very versatile.
Then there's the phrase, it's fun to watch.
Now, that's a great distinction. You aren't saying you play it. You're saying you enjoy the spectacle. It defines your role as a fan.
That's a good point. It manages expectations.
Yeah.
And then the health angle. It keeps me fit. It keeps me active.
Very common for adults. A lot of people play squash or tennis, not because they love the game, but because they hate the gym.
That's me. I play tennis so I can eat pizza later. That is my because.
See? That's a great answer. My favorite sport is tennis because it lets me eat pizza. That is a fantastic social answer.
Really?
Absolutely. It's funny, it's relatable, it tells me something about your personality. I would much rather hear that than because it improves my cardiovascular health.
Okay, I'm using that. But then there's the sentimental angle. The source talks about this one too. My family loves it, or I grew up with it.
This opens a different door. Now we're talking about your background, your culture, your childhood.
And this leads to my favorite part of the source material, the story. Jake tells this story about his dad.
Let's analyze that. Because he doesn't just say, I like football because my dad likes it. That's a fact. He turns it into a scene.
He does. He says, When I was 8 years old, my dad took me to my first football match.
Boom. Time travel. Immediately, we are picturing a little boy. We're in the story with him.
And then he adds the details. He talks about the loud stadium, the cheering. She says he fell in love with the game.
This is a masterclass. He moved from information to connection. He made it emotional.
But hold on. As a learner, that feels terrifying. Telling a story, using past tense verbs, trying to describe a smell or a sound. I feel like I crash and burn.
I hear you. It feels like climbing a mountain. It feels like you need to be a perfect storyteller.
Yeah. What if I mess up the verb? What if I can't find the right word for loud?
Okay, let's try something. Let's do a little live workshop right now.
Oh boy, okay.
I want you to pretend you are a learner. Tell me about a sport you like, but I want you to try to make it a story. Don't worry about the grammar yet. Just give me the pieces, the key words.
Okay. Swimming. I like swimming.
Okay. Why? Give me a memory, just images.
Summer. My grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
A lake. Cold water.
Perfect.
Ah.
Those are the ingredients. You have 4 beautiful ingredients. Now let's string them together using the simplest grammar possible. I like swimming because.
I like swimming because I remember the summer with my grandfather.
Good. And the sensory detail, the water.
The water was very cold.
And how did you feel?
I felt happy and free.
Look at that. My favorite sport is swimming because I remember summers with my grandfather. The water was cold, but I felt free.
Wow. That actually sounds really good.
It's beautiful. And you didn't use any complex words. You didn't use the past perfect continuous subjunctive whatever. You used was and remember and felt.
It's the image that makes it work, not the grammar.
Exactly. When you share a memory, even in broken English, people lean in. They want to hear about your grandfather. They don't care if you forgot the preposition.
That is a huge relief.
Mm.
Focus on the picture in your head, not just the grammar book.
But speaking of grammar, if you do want to level up, the source gives us one specific structure for time that is really useful.
The duration. Yes. How long you've been doing it.
Right. A common mistake is saying, I play for 10 years.
I hear that all the time. I play since I was a child.
It's not quite right. In English, if you started in the past and you are still doing it now, we use the present perfect continuous. I have been playing.
I have been playing. It's a mouthful.
It is, but think of it like a bridge. It's a structure that connects the past to the present.
A bridge, okay.
I have been playing connects the past to now. I've been playing since I was a child. I've been playing for 20 years.
Okay, I'm visualizing the bridge. That helps. But let's be real for a second.
Let's be real.
Not everyone plays. Not everyone has been playing for 20 years.
True, most people haven't.
I am what the source calls, and I love this phrase, an armchair fan.
The professional spectator.
Emma calls herself a professional at watching sports from the sofa. And I felt seen.
Me too.
Because there's a pressure, especially for guys, I think, to be good at sports.
Yeah.
If someone asks, do you like football? You feel like you have to say, yeah, I was the captain of my high school team.
But if you lie, you are digging a grave for yourself. You are setting a trap.
Oh, totally. A very deep trap.
Honesty is actually a fluency hack. Think about it. If you try to invent a story about being a great player, you have to invent vocabulary. You have to invent scenarios. It's cognitive overload.
Your brain is working double time just to maintain the lie.
But if you just admit, I'm terrible, the conversation becomes easy and funny.
Okay, so what are the phrases for the unathletic among us?
This is section 3, defining the identity. Player versus watcher. If you watch but don't play, you say, I enjoy watching football, but I don't play it.
Clean, simple, no confusion.
Or a slightly more sophisticated one. I'm more of a viewer than a player.
That sounds classy. I'm more of a viewer. I like that.
And if you do play, but you're bad, own it. The source suggests, I'm not very good at sports.
Just honest.
Or the very strong one, I'm terrible at football.
I'm terrible at football.
Yeah.
I feel like if you say that with a smile, people love you immediately. It shows confidence. It shows you don't take yourself too seriously.
It breaks the ice, it lowers the expectations, and then there is the phrase that I think is the most useful of all. I played just for fun.
Just for fun. That is the magic shield. It means do not pass me the ball if the game is close.
It means my goal here is to have a good time and maybe get some exercise, not to win a championship. It's a social signal.
It's so useful.
Uh-huh.
But the source includes a cautionary tale about what happens when you aren't honest.
Yes.
Did you catch the golf story?
Oh my God, yes, poor Jake.
Tell us what happened, because this is a classic social nightmare.
It really is. So Jake was chatting with some people, some work colleagues, I think, and the topic of golf came up. Now, Jake doesn't play golf. He doesn't even like golf.
He has no interest.
Zero. But he wanted to fit in. He wanted to be part of the group. So he just nodded and said, oh, yeah, I love golf.
The fatal error. The people pleaser lie.
And it backfired instantly. They said, great, we're playing this weekend. Come with us.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare fuel.
He described it as the biggest mistake of his life.
I can imagine.
He had to go to the golf course, rent clubs, and then stand there and swing at the ball while everyone watched. He exposed his lie in the most humiliating way possible.
Oh, the slow, painful reveal of his total incompetence. That's brutal.
And the lesson there is profound. Learn the English for I hate golf. Learn the English for I've never played. It protects you. Social English isn't just about agreeing. It's about defining who you are accurately.
Save yourself the embarrassment. Just say golf. I think it's a good walk spoiled.
Nice Mark Twain reference. Very classy.
Thank you. Okay, let's fill the toolbox. Section 4. We need the actual words. But the source is really specific here. We are focusing on high-frequency words.
Yes, this is so important. We are not learning goalkeeper, slapshot, checkmate, or home run right now.
Right.
We are learning the words that apply to almost everything.
The building blocks. The words that work for any sport. Let's run through the definitions provided in the source. First one, stadium.
The big place where matches happen. It implies atmosphere, crowds, noise. It's a word full of feeling.
Next, fans.
The people, the supporters. And notice the verb we pair with this. We don't usually say, I follow the team in social chat. It sounds a bit distant. We say, I support a team.
I support. That's important. I support the team, and I am a fan.
Right. And what do fans do? They cheer.
Cheering, shouting happily, hopefully.
Hopefully. And you want to contrast that with booing. You don't want to mix those up. If you tell someone I was booing my team, they will look at you very strangely.
Cheering is happy. Booing is angry.
Got it.
Now, the distinction between match and game.
This is subtle, and it trips people up. In general, they are interchangeable. Did you see the match? Did you see the game? People will understand both.
But there's a nuance.
There is a cultural nuance. British English tends to lean towards match for football, cricket, tennis. American English leans heavily towards game.
So NBA game, but Wimbledon match.
Generally, yes. But again, if you say NBA match, you aren't wrong. You just sound slightly formal or maybe British. It's not a major error.
And finally, team, the group of players.
It seems basic, but if you master just those 5 words, stadium, fan, cheer, match, team, you can tell almost any story.
Let's try it.
I went to the stadium to see the match. The fans were cheering for the team. That sentence works for baseball, soccer, rugby, cricket, almost anything.
You don't even know what a shortstop is to tell that story.
Exactly. You're communicating the experience, not the technical details.
Now, this brings us to the part of the episode where we have to get our hands dirty. The grease and oil section. Section 5. The grammar repair shop.
It's repair shop. I like it. Time to fix the common mistakes.
The source material highlights what it calls trap zones. These are the mistakes that learners make that instantly signal, I am a beginner. And we want to fix these so you sound slick.
So you sound more natural. Let's do it. What's the first trap?
Word order. Specifically the I like very much trap.
Oh, this is a classic. I like very much football. I like very much pizza.
It sounds kind of poetic, right? I like very much the moon.
It sounds romantic, but it's grammatically wrong. In English, the verb and the object are like best friends holding hands.
Okay, visualize this. Like is the verb. Football is the object. They are holding hands.
Tightly. You cannot put anything between them. You can't put very much in the middle.
So where does it go?
You have to put very much at the end of the line.
So it's a sandwich, but the meat has to be on the outside.
Maybe just think of the cue. I like football very much. I like tennis a lot. The intensity comes at the end. It's an adverbial phrase modifying the whole idea.
Okay. Verb and object stick together. Intensity at the end. Got it. Trap number 2. The verb choice. I do football.
This comes from translation. In many other languages, you make sport or do sport. In English, we have a specific rule. If there is a ball,
You play it.
you play it. You play football, play tennis, play golf, play basketball.
Well, what about yoga? There's no ball in yoga.
Exactly. So you do yoga, you do judo, you do karate. Generally, these are martial arts or individual disciplines.
Okay. Ball.
Yeah.
Play. No ball. Do. Is it that simple?
Mostly. There is one other main category, which is for verbs ending in -ing. You go swimming, go running, go cycling.
Ah, okay. Go plus verbing.
But for team sports, the ones you talk about at parties, it's almost always play, never I do basketball.
Got it. Now, trap number 3. This is the one Emma calls mean. And I agree with her. The articles, the word the.
This is the hardest one for Romance language speakers. French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. In your language, you say le football, el football. The sport owns the article.
It feels naked without it. I like football. It feels
Yeah.
like something is missing.
I know, it sounds wrong to your ear. But in English, general abstract concepts like sports, like music, like love, do not take the article. You don't say, I like the jazz. You say, I like jazz.
So, my favorite sport is the basketball is wrong.
Wrong. My favorite sport is basketball.
The only time we use the is if we are talking about the physical object,
Right.
as in the specific ball.
Exactly. Kick the football. That refers to the leather ball itself, but I love football refers to the game, the concept.
That is a tiny detail, but fixing it makes you sound so much more fluent. I play football versus I play the football. The first one sounds native. The second one sounds like a student.
It's the quickest win you can get. Just drop the.
Driving the.
Okay. We're moving to section 6, the pronunciation clinic.
This is where we get physical. We have to think about our mouths.
The source identifies 2 words, just 2. But they are the most important words in the entire conversation.
If you get these wrong, the whole topic feels shaky. It undermines your confidence.
The first word is sport.
Why is this hard? It seems so simple.
It's the S cluster at the beginning, specifically for Spanish and Portuguese speakers and others. Your mouth wants to put a support vowel at the start. You want to say S-port or is-port.
I like is sports. I've definitely heard that.
Right. And that extra vowel creates a rhythm bump. It stands out. It sounds foreign.
So how do we fix it? What do I do with my tongue?
You need to start with a snake sound. Start with the air. Don't engage your vocal cords yet. Just and then while you are hissing, you launch into the P. Sport!
Sport.
Perfect. There is no A sound before the snake. It's just the snake. Sport. One clean syllable.
Okay, I'm practicing that in the mirror later. Word number 2, favorite.
This is a tricky one because the spelling lies to you. It looks like favorite. 3 clear chunks.
But native speakers don't say my favorite sport.
No! We crush it. We swallow the vowels. In American English, it's often just 2 syllables. Favorite.
Favorite.
In British English, as the source notes, there's a tiny middle sound. A schwa.
Favorite.
Favory. But notice the rhythm. It's not favorite. The stress is at the start. F-A-Y-verite. It falls down.
So, expert advice here. Slow down. Is that the key?
Absolutely. The source says this explicitly. A short pause to get the pronunciation right is better than rushing and stumbling. Take a breath.
My favorite sport. That sounds controlled. Rushing sounds nervous.
Okay, we have the sentence. We have the grammar. We have the mouth shape. But a conversation isn't a monologue.
No.
You can't just stand there and talk about yourself for 10 minutes.
Please don't. That's a lecture, not a conversation.
So section 7 is social strategy. How do we turn the tables?
The pivot.
The pivot. I love this because asking a question is actually a defensive move, isn't it? It's a way to take control.
It is the best defensive move. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if your brain is tired, ask a question. It takes the spotlight off you. It lets you relax and listen while the other person talks. It's your turn to breathe. So the source gives us the big 3 openers. These are questions you can keep in your pocket.
Ready to go. Question 1. Do you play any sports?
Classic, direct, simple.
Question 2. Are you into sports?
I really like into. Are you into? It sounds so natural.
It's very casual. It implies interest, not just activity. It covers watching, playing, reading about it. It's a wider net.
And question 3, which is great for Mondays at the office. Did you watch the game last night?
This implies shared context. If the World Cup is on or the Super Bowl, this is the best opener in the world. It assumes you are both part of the same cultural moment.
You have to be careful, right? Don't ask, did you watch the game, if there was no game.
True. You need a little bit of awareness. But usually, if you're in a city with a big team, there's always a game. It's a safe bet.
So we've dissected the parts. We have the chassis, the engine, the wheels. Now, section 8, the deep dive synthesis. We need to put the car together and drive it.
Let's look at the model answer. The source provides what they call a natural answer. It combines every single element we've discussed into one smooth package.
I'm going to read it out slowly. I want everyone listening to identify the parts. Here we go.
Okay.
My favorite sport is basketball because it's fast and exciting. I've been playing since high school, and I usually play with my friends on weekends. I also enjoy watching NBA games on TV.
It flows. It sounds like a real person. It's not robotic at all.
Let's break it down, layer by layer.
Okay, sentence 1. My favorite sport is basketball because it's fast and exciting.
That's the golden formula plus the reason. Check.
Sentence 2. I've been playing since high school.
That's the history. Using the have been playing grammar bridge. Check.
And I usually play with my friends on weekends.
That's the routine. It tells us who and when. It adds social context. Check.
Sentence 3. I also enjoy watching NBA games on TV.
That's the identity, the watcher. It clarifies your relationship with the sport. Check.
It's only 3 sentences, but it covers everything. Preference, history, context, consumption.
It paints a full picture of you and that sport.
And did you notice the vocabulary?
Yeah. It was simple. There were no fancy words.
Exactly. No slam dunk, no three-point arc, no technical foul. It was just solid, functional English.
That is the biggest takeaway for me. You don't need to be fancy to be fluent.
Fluency is about flow, not about obscure words. If you can string those 3 simple sentences together, you are fluent in that topic. You have successfully communicated a complex idea about yourself.
So if you are listening to this, that is your target. You don't need to write a book. You just need 3 sentences.
And remember the final tip from the source. Don't just say one sentence. Always add the reason or the story. If you stop at basketball, you lose. If you add because, you win.
Which brings us to the outro, the final confidence check.
We've talked about grammar and vocabulary, but the core message here is psychological. It's about your mindset.
Confidence over perfection.
Every single time.
I love the idea from the source of the mirror challenge.
It sounds silly, but it works. I promise you, it works. Stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and ask, what is your favorite sport?
And then answer yourself out loud.
Answer yourself out loud. Your mouth needs to develop muscle memory. You need to get used to the shape of the word sport. You need to get used to the rhythm of, I've been playing.
Took a rehearsal for a play.
It is. The mirror is a safe place to fail. You can stumble, you can correct yourself, and nobody is judging you. It lowers the stakes to 0.
So here is the challenge for our listeners today. We want you to be brave. Find one person, a friend, a coworker, your cat, I don't care who, and tell them about your favorite sport.
Use the structure. My favorite sport is because, and just see how it feels, see what happens.
And if you freeze up, if the panic comes back,
Smile, take a breath, and say, I'm not very good at sports, but I like watching.
use the toolkit. It's there for a reason.
Exactly. That phrase is in your toolkit now. Use it. It's a safety line.
This deep dive has been all about giving you the keys to that one specific conversation. But remember, sports is just one room in the house of conversation.
Oh, absolutely. The same principles apply everywhere.
And Everyday English Chat has a whole library of these breakdowns. If you struggle with talking about food or travel or your job, they have formulas for those too.
Building fluency isn't one giant leap. It's a collection of these small victories. Today, you conquered sports. Tomorrow, maybe you conquer ordering a coffee without panicking.
Step by step. Keep the ball moving.
Exactly. Don't let the awkward silence win. You have the words now. Go use them.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Keep learning.
And keep speaking. Catch you next time.